してスーパーがスペシャルドフォーユー
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing yet another setup, and this setup is kind of a bit of a doozy. As you saw in my intro of the video, we are doing the Tokyo Mew Mew new themed setup because this month season 2 premieres, and as of uploading this video, if I get it up on time, it is only 1 week away from premiering, and I am so stoked but also so scared at the same time. But if you're into the anime, you should go follow my other channel, The Leaf Factor, because that's while reacting to every single episode. But here, we are showing our homage to the anime by attempting to do a setup for it. I had this idea in my brain on how to do it, and I even had this guy right here to be able to use that as my inspiration for this. And some pages turned out better than others, as you will see, but let me know what you guys think. It's going to be another short setup. Without further ado, and all the blabbering later, here is April 2023 Tokyo Mew Mew New setup. Alright guys, so this is the inspo for the cover page we are doing today. Got this calendar when I was still in Japan, and I ordered it off of their Amazon, which I'm not gonna lie, they have a lot of great stuff on the Japanese Amazon. It's just too bad that you can't actually like use that in your home country, but I lucked out with that, so I'm very glad I found this calendar. It fits so snugly and cutely on my desk. But with this, I literally just changed like the calendar part of the title and just put April. Looking back on this now, I probably should have made this a bit bigger because there's kind of like that big gap at the bottom left of this paper. But when I was doing the watercolors to try to emulate the same shapes as the cover of the calendar, I did my best, but also was kind of like stress sweating doing this cover page the entire time, because with Notebook Therapy's papers, they do work with watercolor, don't get me wrong, but from personal experience, the last time I did a very intensely watercolored cover page was with my dolphin theme 2 years ago, and I actually used Archer and Olive's paper, and I have to admit that their paper is better for painting. I had to be like super thin with the watercolor on Notebook Therapy's book, because if I did it any thicker, then it would like peel through to the opposite paper, so it was just like a sweat-inducing time. But when I did eventually finish the watercolor, I think it turned out amazing. I did my best with the logo. Looking back on it, I definitely should have straightened out the word Tokyo here, but at a certain point I was like, you gotta get this done so it's up before April. Because the reason I chose Tokyo Mew Mew this month is because the new season is coming out in April, and I know it's going to be the last season because of what they did with season 1 and going honestly way too fast in my opinion. But if you want to hear all my thoughts about the Tokyo Mew Mew season 1 comparison, I will be doing a video on that on the Leaf Factor channel. So if you are actually coming from that channel, thank you for joining us. This is my other channel, and these are the beautiful stickers that I found in Japan. If I didn't have these stickers, there is no way I would have been able to complete this cover, because even though my drawing skills have gotten better from when I first started bullet journaling, I still haven't tackled real life people, and it honestly kind of terrifies me. So I'm really glad that these stickers basically saved my ass. But I will admit that because I didn't buy seconds of all 5 characters, because when I bought the stickers from Thank You Mart, in the Ikebukuro Sunshine Center, the stickers actually added up quite quickly. So I was like, okay, you really only need 1 of each, but I do have a little surprise for you guys at the end if you are Mew Mew fans. So make sure you stay tuned to the whole video for the end, and I will give away that little surprise. So anyway, I kind of lined them up as closely as I could to resemble the calendar, but I knew I didn't want them overlapping quite as much as the calendar because a mix of the stickers aren't as big, so they don't cover the entirety of the book, but also because I didn't want to cover too much of them. It's just, they're all so beautiful individually that I just wanted to leave them as open and spread out as much as possible, but still have it look good. So To add the extra kind of glitter designs over top of the watercolor, I used this white ink pen. After doing all that, loved the little extra detail it gave, but wasn't overpowering on the watercolor. And that was another thing I was kind of worried about, because I was like, I'm used to using black ink, but I knew that if I did use black ink, it would just look way too overpowering with how pastel-y the new designs are. So I stuck with that, and I felt like the page was still too empty. So on the bottom, I tried to write in like actual Japanese kanji and hiragana, "For the future of the earth will be of service," yeah. But I quickly changed my mind because I realized it just didn't look as nice, and if this is going to be a thumbnail, like, people need to be able to read it for the most part, and I have a lot of English fans from the series coming to my channel, so I was like, it's better if I do it in English. So I did it with the white ink first, then let that dry, and then slowly, very surely used the pink ink over top of the words, and then a final layer used this dark pink ink that I used around the Tokyo Mew logo. But now on to the most stress, sweat inducing part of this whole setup. Placing down the stickers. Not gonna lie though, I wish I took them out of all their packaging and did like a nice close-up zoom in on all of them instead of just quickly trying to unsticker them, so I apologize for that, but I did my best with the close-up shots when I did remember to do some of it. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Okay, that's better. Stay now. Oh my god! This makes me so unbelievably nervous. If I can get it off. Oh god, there we go. Okay. Moment of truth. Okay. Oh my god, I'm stress sweating, okay? Oh my god. Oh boy, okay, last one. God, I'm probably taking this way too seriously. Okay. Fantastic. Done. All right, so moving on to our second spread. Like I've said in my March setup, I am continuing to condense all my lists and trackers into just 2 pages compared to, like, I think I was doing 5 at one point. Like, it was getting a little ridiculous. So this setup worked so well for me in March that I was like, okay, we are going down this track. We are going to continue this because I love how much faster it was and just actually felt like a little bit more aesthetic too. Like, it just looked nicer and less like boring to do, you know? For each section, I tried to incorporate all the colors of the Mew Mews. So I did Ichigo for habits, Pudding for content checklist, Zekro and Mint for Let's Adult because obviously awesome duo there. If you know, you know. And then a little bit of lettuce with the calendar tracker pages. And these hearts that I did around the YouTube and Instagram symbols, I took that from the inside of the calendar. I'll show a quick photo here because I forgot to show it on the filming part, but I think they look really cute. I don't think I did the best job doing the hearts. I always struggle to make them look as good as they do like on a digital copy, but overall I think it looks okay. Added a few washi tape colors that resembled the Mew Mews as well. I know that they're not like specifically food. I wish I had time to get washi tape that had food colors, but with how little money I have at the moment and how little time I had to do this setup, I was like, you know what, just use the colors of the washi tape you already have. Like, I have all the colors of the rainbow, so I still think it looks pretty aesthetic. What do you guys think? Now, this part, I'm gonna be quite honest, I really regret doing. I should have just left it with the outline of yellow, and instead of putting this freaking black, I don't know what I was thinking. I was being dumb. It just felt so harsh compared to everything else that it made me scared to continue. That's the only section where I did an outline of black. But because this section looked too plain in my opinion, I sketched some sweets. So I basically just looked on Pinterest, color coordinated kawaii sweets. Obviously, strawberry milk for Ichigo. We got pudding above her for pudding. Mint is just below her, and not mint, sorry, what am I saying? Okay, first it's Mew pudding, then it's Mew Ichigo, then it's Mew lettuce, then Mew mint, and then Mew Zakuro. So I had to get a little creative with these choices since like I struggled to draw these sweets way more than I thought I was going to. Like this is my drawing techniques are really out of practice, like oh my god. So probably won't have another big drawing setup for a bit. I know I still need to finish October's, but that's another challenge for another day. And to finish it up, I just added some sparkle doodles because I felt like it still looked a little plain. I was actually dabbling with the idea of using the watercolors as the backdrop of this page too, but I ultimately decided not to because if I did watercolor on too many pages, it would just look too warpy and I would ultimately not like that. So now we're moving on to the brain dump page. Now, this page, I kind of step. The header design, I didn't particularly like that much. I don't think it looks that great, so I did my best recovering it and just used Zakuro's and Mint's colors for this. And when I was trying to figure out what I could use to design this, because, you know, brain dump page has to be the majority of it completely empty, so you actually have room to dump everything that's in your brain. So when I was looking at some of the designs that came out for Tokyo Mew Mew before like the anime got released, there's this one picture of all of them in the cafe, and I loved how the pillars looked with all the vines going down, so I decided to replicate that, and I had to speed clip these shots like to 2,500 speed because drawing all these leaves took so long. But the finished product looks so good. Very happy with it. That header was still really bothering me, and same with the pillars, so I added some shimmer white to it to add a little bit of dimension. You can't really tell too much that I painted this. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I filmed the brain dump page on the day where it started snowing uncontrollably, the middle of March. So that was annoying. It was a full-on snowstorm. So my lighting is utter crap on this spread for the most part, so I'm very sorry about that. But it looks much better on the final flip through. So if you're thinking it looks crappy, like just wait to the end of the video. It doesn't look quite as bad, I promise. All right, so moving on to our final spread of the video. This is another sticker that I got from Thank You Mart, and the picture that I was referencing for the brain dump page with the pillars. They look so cute, and I love them so much, so I wanted to have a space on my first weekly spread specifically for this sticker. Now, this weekly spread is where I decided to do the same watercoloring as I did for the cover page, and it wasn't as warpy because inside all these blocks, like where I put the washi tape, was my attempt to make straight lines, but then I ultimately decided that it would be too much work to move that washi tape to each square, and I also screwed up this number 3. I accidentally grabbed the black marker instead of the dark green, so this is my attempt at fixing it. And I ultimately hated that too, so eventually I ended up ripping it off, and then some of the paper from the rip-off stayed on, so then I tried to redo it on there, and then that didn't work either, so then I had to rip the new page again, so like, that number 3 was causing me so much issues. It was a struggle bus, but you'll see what I ultimately ended up having it look like soon, but before I ultimately decided to scrap that, I did all the watercolors and still tried to follow the same pattern that the calendar page had, but went a little bit off just because I wanted it to blend in with each color of each member into the numbers. So it's a bit hard to see a bit here with the sun. I'm struggling with my blind situation. They're very much broken, so sometimes the light peers a bit too much through, and yeah, it's this whole thing. So sorry about that, but again, yeah, you don't have to deal with it for much longer because I do end up fixing it. But a little tip if you want to watercolor directly in your book instead of like going a separate piece of paper and then like gluing it in. Make sure you do as little amount of paint and water as possible. Keep some paper towel next to you so you can blot if you need to, and use clips like I have here to flatten the pages. Yeah, you can see me struggling with the light there. There we go. Okay, now that's much better. But anyway, back to my tips with watercoloring. So make sure your clips are keeping the paper as flat as humanly possible, and then you won't get as much of the warping. If there's another tactic where you can have literally no warping at all, please tell me. I would love to know. But this is the closest I've come to being able to keep it flat. Now, I didn't really think this through when I was doing all these spreads, so I just started it on the 1st of April, but that's not the first day of the week, so I ended up going a little bit farther in the middle of the week. So my second weekly spread, which will be on my Instagram, starts on the 7th and then just goes to the 9th, so that I could have 3 weeks worth of Dutch doors, because as I said, Dutch door technique and simplifying all my spreads from the March experiment really worked out, so I wanted to continue it for Tokyo Mew Mew, especially since I don't have more stickers. I don't think they had them in their cafe outfits separately, because I feel like I would have bought them otherwise. Like, I remember buying all of them, so I'll know for sure once I upload the vlog of me actually searching for them. But because I don't have more stickers that wouldn't just repeat the ones I've used, I didn't want to have separate spreads for each page. So Dutch door is definitely the best option. All right, so with the watercolor done and loving how it looked, now you can see how I fixed the 3. It definitely still looks a bit wonky, but like that's as close as I could do it without having to like start completely over and risk ripping out these pages. To layer up the sticker a little bit, I added this beautiful watercolor styled gingham paper that I bought from my local scrapbook store. Very, very cute, but I kept it very simple with just that as a kind of a off-centered border, and then added a little bit of washi tape of Pudding and Zakuro's colors. I did put a pink one for Ichigo here, but I ultimately had to take it off after I was done filming because it just was not staying. It was one of those Sakura washi tapes, and I didn't want to have to bother trying to re-glue it with fabric tack, and I was like, you know what, it's coming off, we can just pull it off without wrecking the page. So that's what I ended up doing. Also, sorry if I sounded a little bit groggy. Allergy season has come in full swing, and I took a lot of Benadryl last night to keep my sinuses clear, and I'm still feeling the effects of that. And outlining the boxes with a very light gray. But I love how it looked. There is one little tweak I wish I did though. I wish I made the corners of all of the boxes a bit curved instead of like a straight block, but that's something I'll improve on with the second weekly spread of the month, and then ultimately with the rest of the Dutch stores. So you learn as you go. And of course, me thinking that the page still looks plain, I added a bit more of the white ink. Now, actually, truth be told, I did this spread before I did the cover page. So this was really my experimentation before I tackled the cover page, because the cover page is the most important spread when you're making videos, because if people don't like that thumbnail, you're basically screwed. So I'm glad I practiced here first, and I loved how the ink looked, so I knew it was going to look great on that cover page. Although looking back at this footage now, it was definitely not fully sharpened, so I am so sorry. Most of the time I have to use manual focus for these spreads so that my autofocus doesn't constantly focus on my hand instead of the actual spread. But sometimes I don't sharpen it quite enough, so I apologize for that. Alright, so here is my final flip through of my Tokyo Mew Mew bullet journal setup. I so love how it turned out. It's so cute. I love all the pastel colors. Like, this is just like my whole aesthetic thrown into one beautiful setup. So happy I have this. So happy I got the stickers. I freaking love this theme. Alright, so that is the end of my April 2023 setup. I never know how to start these outros either. It feels like I'm repeating myself constantly, but you know what? That's just how we roll here. Every once in a while, I'll end up saying something that sounds script-like, and then we'll go off the cuff because my brain just works like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more bullet journaling setups in the future for nice and simple ones now that we're going in that route. And if you have any suggestions for what other themes you'd like me to try, please leave me a comment below or follow me on my Instagram. Instagram's going to be a little bit less filled throughout the month now that I'm not doing a weekly spread design every single week because of the time constraints with like trying to focus on all this content on the Leaf Factor channel and that taking up the majority of my time with my full-time job. But I would still appreciate theme ideas. And you know what? Maybe in the future, once I'm out of debt and I don't have to work at a full-time job anymore and I can take YouTube as my full-time path once again, I will be able to do more drawing heavy setups. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that and you're new here, please subscribe and I will see you guys next month for May's setup. Oh my god, it's gonna be May already. Shit, it's gonna be almost a full year since I went to Japan. Oh my god.